Not this time. My brother's going solo today, so I'll be watching with you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everybody's ready because the show is about to begin. The great magician Linny has prepared a spectacular show for us all tonight, concluding with an all-new grand finale that
Wow! A new trick!
Thank you all so much for coming. Now, prepare to join me on a journey through the mystical and miraculous.
Exciting stuff.
Yes, it's just...
No wonder. So,
Well, I was out on the street once, and children love magic because they're willing to believe in things that can't be rationally explained. And somehow, I felt drawn to him too. So I went up and...
Aw, that sounds so romantic.
It was with a flower. He took it in his hand, snapped his fingers, and it magically appeared on my head. I was so happy that day. No one had ever given me a flower before that.
Oh, that's so cute. Actually, now that you mention it, Linny's done that one before.
Is that right? Then I suppose he's a romantic at heart, just like Caesar. So let's treasure the time we have with him. After all, you never know when the people dearest to you might be gone.
That's right. It's all over now. Paimon doesn't really know how to comfort you, but...
Right. Yes, you can breathe easy now, Phantom Weasel.
See? Even Lynette says... Wait, what? The Phantom Weasel? Lorenzo escaped? Where is he?
What do you mean, Phantom?
As Linny once said, a performer's job is to commit fully to their role and put on a flawless performance. But once the bag of tricks is empty and the curtain falls, it's time to end the show. The spotlight is no place for someone with no more cards up their sleeve. It's been 10 years, Gemma. Aren't you tired of the grieving widow act? I think it's time to put an end to it.
What are you talking about? Paimon doesn't like this riddle. Traveler, Paimon doesn't like where this is going.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all enjoying the performance so far. There will now be a brief intermission, after which Linny will perform the most electrifying act of tonight's show, the one we've all been waiting for. The final performance will take place outside of the Opera House, so please make your way outside in a calm and orderly fashion.
The Phantom Weasel never did like public places, did they? Don't worry, this place will be quiet soon. Let's talk somewhere else for now.
Dear me, this is awkward, isn't it? And unfortunately, I'm all out of gadgets, so I'm afraid I can't do any tricks to liven up the mood. This is a big mistake for a magician to make, but thankfully, I do have a backup plan. Now, who wants to hear a story?
Linny? Don't we have more important things to address right now? Lynette accused Gemma of being the real Phantom Weasel a moment ago. Oh, what the heck's going on?
All in good time. Magicians are good at guessing what people are thinking. I know the...
Really? Well then, let's hear it! Paimon's dying of curiosity here!
Let's go back to the very beginning. A decade ago, when the Phantom Weasel was terrorizing the court of Fontaine. She never missed a target, never left a trace, and no treasure was safe from her thieving hands. But as her infamy grew, so did the readiness of the police, and her opportunities to act became ever fewer. Every day she ran the risk of being exposed for who she was. Of course, she could not simply take this lying down, and before long she found her ticket to freedom. She would create a scapegoat, a false weasel to close the chapter on her behalf. After weighing her options, she set her sights on a renowned magician, Caesar. After all, magic and theft shared enough similarities for people to buy the story when the...
So, being the master deceiver she was, the weasel easily earned Caesar's trust. Now, all that remained was to frame him for her countless crimes. But as she was considering how to make her move, she noticed Caesar's aggrieved pupil, and a new thought entered her mind. Maybe I don't need to get my hands dirty after all. At her encouragement, Lorenzo tampered with Caesar's magic box, causing him to fall to his death. Afterwards, Lorenzo seized his master's property, and the weasel set about tarnishing Caesar's reputation. Two co-conspirators committed the perfect crime.
I've got to hand it to you. You're both exceptional storytellers. It's enough to make even me wonder whether there was really another mastermind behind all this, pulling the strings. But I just have one question. You seem to think that I am the villain in this tale.
Well, don't worry, Lorenzo said nothing at all. But I never believed that he was the weasel, and in fact, my investigation only made me more certain of that. He was too forthcoming with his confession, as if there was something else he was trying to hide.
How disappointing. So you'd sooner trust Lorenzo than me, even without a shred of evidence?
A magician is an expert at playing the audience to get the result they want, and I have no doubt that you, Gemma, are equally talented in this regard. With a little help from Lorenzo, you put on a very convincing performance. The lovesick fiancé, whose devotion to her betrothed is unshakable, even under threats of violence. Caesar was maligned and hated by all for 10 years, but you? Everyone sympathized with your plight. Who would suspect for 1 second that the lovely young lady always seen weeping in front of Caesar's grave was actually the mastermind behind his demise? No, not that poor lady. Perish the thought.
Wait, so you mean the whole intimidation thing was just a hoax? Gemma and Lorenzo were both in on it? But why would Lorenzo agree to that? And why didn't he sell her out even at the end instead of admitting to being the weasel himself?
Yes, why indeed? Maybe Gemma herself could enlighten us on that question.
Well, Linny, if you're so confident in your version of events, then I think the answer should be obvious. Having killed Caesar with his own hands, Lorenzo was plagued by overwhelming guilt. Revealing the Phantom Weasel's true identity would serve no purpose. But if the weasel remained free, then she could take care...
An excellent answer, though sadly a little dull.
Is that right? Well, don't let me bore you. If you'd care to change the topic to something more interesting, I'd be much obliged.
As a matter of fact, there's one thing I'd really like to understand. Why would the real weasel have targeted things that only have value to other people? Could you shed any light on that?
Of course. After all, we're just telling stories here, aren't we? If I had to guess, I would say that the real weasel must have had a terrible childhood. Left to fend for herself after her parents died young. Betrayed, scorned, beaten. She'd scrounge waste paper from garbage bins to draw on, using twigs and dirt for lack of ink and pen. She'd sew ugly rag dolls from whatever scrap material she could get her hands on. This was her only source of happiness in life. But it was all she needed, and she was content. Until the world decided that even this was too good for her. Once again, she was betrayed. And this time everything was taken from her. She felt like life was a miry pit that dragged her further down the more she struggled to escape. At that tender... This was a fate too cruel for anyone to bear. Her pain became a breeding ground for dark thoughts. Thoughts which festered and grew into a twisted solution to her troubles. I detest the happiness of others, in all its forms alike. I will rob them of everything they hold to be good and true, and it will fill the void in my soul.
That's some pretty heavy stuff.
Now it all makes sense.
Does this story satisfy you, Lyney?
Yes, it is quite to my tastes. Thank you for helping to clear up my confusion.
Huh. That's right. What drove you to write that letter, Gemma? Because without that, none of this would have ever come to light.
She didn't write the letter.
After 10 long years, I'd hoped that the Phantom Weasel would be consigned to the history books by now. Lyney. Or should I call you the Phantom Copycat now? You were the one who posted that letter outside the Opera House. But why?
Very sharp, Phantom Weasel. Still as shrewd as ever. Well, no need for me to be coy about it. Our goal was to clear Caesar's name. The most straightforward way to change the public's impression of Caesar was to force the Weasel to show themselves.
That's it? You had no other agenda?
Of course we did. We made it quite clear in the letter, I believe. I shall take from you that which you hold most dear, just as you did to me 10 years ago.
10 years ago? You mean Caesar's death? You met him? Wait. Oh, I get it. You were those two obnoxious kids. It's been so long, and you're all grown up now. I didn't recognize you. He taught you magic back then, didn't he? For what, 10 days or something? And you went to all this trouble. Why? Because you feel like you still owe him something?
We remember all our debts, however great or small. 10 years ago, Caesar's reputation was torn to shreds, and his legacy was thrown out. 10 years on, and no one cares what the truth is anymore. But we did not forget, and so we came to find you.
And? What exactly did you take from me? I'm still standing, as you can see. Lorenzo has admitted to everything. I'm free.
Free? Do you really think so? Caesar once told me that even though the world is filled with lies and falsehoods, we must find our own truth. I think that applies to you too. Truth can take many forms. Prized possessions with nostalgic value, fervent hopes. Life took many things from you, and those wounds never healed. When they ached unbearably in the dead of night, stealing became your way of numbing the pain.
What are you trying to say?
I'm saying that for the last 10 years, you've been living a rather uneventful life. Perhaps that's because you found something other than a life of crime to fill the hole? Back to Lorenzo for a second. He murdered his own master, played along with your act, and he knew who you were and the things you'd done, and despite that, he was willing to give everything up for your sake. He's the reason that you haven't felt the compulsion to steal in all these years. You're more than just accomplices in murder. You're the only real friends each other has. So I think you know, deep down, that he is the only truth you have in your life. But that truth is gone now, and I guarantee you, you'll never see it again.
Congratulations on your freedom, Gemma.
Your freedom will cost you dearly. From now on, you'll be all alone in a world full of lies and falsehoods. I do hope you'll be able to bear it. You've still got a long life ahead of you after all.
Gather round, one and all. The time has now come for the amazing Linny to perform his final act in tonight's show. I'm sure you're all wondering what he has planned for the grand finale. Well, wonder no more, for the answer is a death-defying high-altitude escape.
A high-altitude escape?
I'm sure you all remember the magician Caesar. This was the very trick that led to his... But we have now learned that Caesar was wrongly accused, and that the real...
Guess that's my cue to leave. Whew. I've been practicing this one. Traveler, Paimon, I hope you enjoy the rest of the show. There may be a lot of people watching tonight.
Lenny, wait. You two hid a lot from Caesar. He went to his grave without ever knowing your secrets. So what about now? Are you an open book? Or are you still the same as ever? You don't have to tell lies to end up isolated and alone. One day...
You're wrong. I'm nothing like you.
So,
Like Linny said, when you're ready, let's head outside and watch the show.
but what about Gemma?
She'll figure out what's best for her soon enough. Oh, and if you'd like to see Linny after the show...
All right. Well, let's go and watch Lenny's finale then. This trick's a pretty dangerous one, but he should be...
Magic should be mysterious, surprising, and defy logic. Magic is hard work. Every single movement has to be practiced thousands of times.
It's alright. We're used to that.
We're sorry. You've taught us so much, but we can't tell you the whole truth.
It's okay. Do you still remember what I told you? This world is full of lies and falsehoods. I only hope that one day, you can find your own truth.
What about you? Have you found your truth?
Magic is my truth. I want to perform a magic trick so great that people will always think of me when they talk about it. For a magician, what greater honor could there be?
Look! Behold! Linny is sealed inside the box. Will he manage to escape? 10 years ago, Caesar attempted this very trick, and it was at this precise moment that...
Lenny! Watch out!
Mysterious. Surprising. And logic-defying. Isn't that right? This honor belongs to you, Caesar. I'm just sorry it's a little late.
Did you see that? 1 minute he was falling, and the next, he turned and...
How could he possibly have done that?
How mysterious. I didn't blink once. He just vanished, right in front of my eyes.
What a heart-stopping magic show! This was really worth the trip.
Caesar's name has finally been cleared, and Fontaine's new star magician Linny has fulfilled a wish on his behalf. Oh, I couldn't ask for a better grand finale. It will make a great headline for the Steambird tomorrow, even if I do say so myself.
Whew. Looks like everyone really loved Linny's grand finale. Paimon doesn't see Linny anywhere. Where'd he go? Oh, Lynette said he'd be waiting for us at the usual haunt. But, where is that? Oh, you mean the one where Caesar's buried? Yeah, that's probably it. This whole magic show kinda seemed like Linny's way of saying goodbye to... Alright, let's go look... Was scared to death when the chamber...
Magic is a performance art. A magician has to get creative to keep the audience on tenterhooks. That's our job. I was honestly a little nervous during the live performance. The thought of falling, suddenly feeling weightless, seeing the sky and the ground spinning and spinning. Sometimes, I can't help but wonder what Caesar thought in those final moments. Did he regret taking Gemma and Lorenzo on? Or did he believe that it was his own slip-up right until the end?
You know, Paimon's been wanting to ask you about something ever since we were in Caesar's workshop. You learned...
After I joined the House of the Hearth. To be honest, Lynette and I had an agenda when we approached him. I told you about my past before, remember? As a young boy, I survived by secretly learning magic from street performers. But I quickly realized that observation alone could only get me so far. What I saw was the polished final performance, but the rigorous training they put... I needed to learn how to improve my sleight of hand, hone my misdirection skills, and make niftier props. We were gifted enough that we'd made some progress by ourselves, but without proper guidance from a professional magician, we quickly plateaued.
So that's why you sought Caesar out?
Yes. We figured there was no harm in asking, but it took us by surprise that he was so willing to teach us. In all, we only spent 10 short days together, but he was very good to us. By contrast, we hid so many things from him. For instance, when he asked why I wanted to learn magic, I answered, "It's my passion." But in truth, there was already a lot more to the story by then. After being taken in by an aristocrat for our magic talent, then betrayed soon after, this was no longer about me doing what I loved. What amazed me was how the lie escaped my lips even as I was hesitating over whether to tell him the truth. Trust is a beautiful thing. Sadly, I'd forgotten.
Linny...
Still worried about the way I feel? You really are a gentle soul, aren't you? But don't worry, I'm used to it now. From the mansions of the elite to the House of the Hearth, lies and selfishness have followed me and Lynette everywhere we go. After Caesar went on tour, we became busy with our missions. The next we heard of him was that he'd fallen to his death, and was now declared. That night, I remembered his smile. But as I lay there, I didn't know what to say to him. To keep secrets is to put up walls. The longer you keep them up, the less you let people in. Then, one day, you look around and realize your life is like an empty auditorium after a show, full of seats once occupied by all the people who left. You only realize how much someone really meant to you when you lose them completely. That's why I was so confident this would hurt Gemma. Because I felt it for myself.
had to say our fair share of goodbyes during our journey, too. But whatever happens, Paimon always believes in what tomorrow brings. Delicious food, fun toys, and the Traveler by my side. Paimon just needs to focus on things like this and I'll... You know, Traveler, doesn't that kind of make you Paimon's truth?
Exactly. It's the same for me and Lynette. We are the truest thing each other has in the world, and life has taken plenty from us like it did from Gemma. But at least it left us with each other. That's what gave us the strength to get through the dark. That's why the darkness never consumed me and why it never will. Maybe we live in the shadows too, but we remember every... All right. Time to lighten this conversation up.
It was amazing! Paimon just wishes we hadn't been so distracted with the Gemma situation. We spent most of our time in the opera. Lenny?
Whoa, that's a bit of a tall order, I'm afraid. The show's just finished, so my sleeves are decidedly...
Aw, come on! Surely you can think of something. The Lenny Paimon knows can do anything.
Oh, all right then. I'll give it a go, but only because it's you. Watch closely. I have a flower in my hand.
You liar! There's nothing in your hand! We ain't going along with this!
Huh? My goodness, you're right. But I could have sworn I brought one here with me.
3, 2, 1.
Now, have another look around. Maybe the flowers appeared somewhere else.
Really? Let's see. Wow, there it is! Oh, this is a different flower from the last time. But more importantly, Paimon has to know how the trick is done. Please, Lenny, pretty please!
Well, if you want to learn magic, you'll have to start...
Ugh. Fine. Please, teacher, please!
Since you asked so nicely, I'll share one little tip with you. Namely, the student of magic cannot solely rely on others being prepared to reveal their secrets. You have to observe.
Is that it?
Look at the time. We shouldn't linger here too long. Thanks again for coming to see my show. I bid you both good night. I look forward to seeing you again.
All right, fine. See ya. Shall we head back down too? Paimon can't wait to read the Steambird tomorrow. Let's head to the Steambird's offices tomorrow morning and see...
Melusines are beautiful creatures. They are the
I'm very sorry, Charlotte, but my sister and I are quite...
Oh, please, Lenny, I'll only take a moment of your time.
Huh? What's happening here?
I spent all night writing my piece about the Phantom Weasel, and it was going to go to print, but just as dawn broke, I suddenly received news that Caesar's fiancée, Gemma, had contacted the guards and confessed to having been the real Phantom Weasel all along.
That was quick.
Too late, bro. That was quick, you say? It sounds like I've got some catching up to do. Please, fill me in.
Whoops.
Aha! My instincts did not lead me astray. You do have something to hide. Gemma turning herself in must have...
Maybe watching my high-altitude escape trick reminded her of a better time with Caesar, and she could no longer...
Huh. Okay, then. Wait, no, there must be more to it. If that's all it took...
well...
Oh, I remember now! You and Gemma were nowhere to be found after the show. What quickfire question? Where did you all go after the show?
Oh, we went to the cemetery Terry and Linny did a private magic Actually, glad you mentioned it, because that reminds Paimon, guess what? Linny's...
What? I don't recall ever having received a rainbow rose from you myself. Is this supposed to mean that they're more important to you than your own sister?
No, I just,
What now? This is getting pretty...
Seems like this interview wasn't meant to be. Well, never mind. Forgive my persistence, but when there's explosive news waiting to be found, I can't turn away. The news about Gemma has already made waves, and I'll stop at nothing to get to the bottom of it all. Apparently, one of the things she said to the guards was that her final... All right, I guess I'll leave you to continue the rest of your conversation in peace.
Lynette? Paimon didn't mean to...
Don't worry, I wasn't angry. I was just trying to distract her.
Oh, really?
Phew. You and me both, Paimon. You and me both. At least it did the...
Please, take good care of that rainbow. I'd be really upset if you lost.